Hello, good evening, my friends. This is Angy Stewart from Mia Inner Light, and we are here live on Kardec Radio. Today is Thursday, May 1st, 2025, and it's 9:03 p.m. So today is a great day because we actually starting a new book for the past 2 years, we have been studying Heaven and Hell, a wonderful book, part of Kardec's codification. So if you haven't even heard of this book, go to Kardec Radio, write Heaven and Hell, Mia Inner Light, and you will have the whole 2 years for you to dive in and understand this beautiful book. So today we will be talking about this one, On the Way to the Light. This is an amazing book that Emmanuel, who is Emmanuel? Emmanuel is the spiritual guide of the very famous Brazilian medium Chico Xavier. So Emmanuel wrote this book. It feels like a novel. It's not a novel, it's a historical book with the perspective of Spiritism. So this book starts diving in about how the earth was created. Who is the responsible for the creation of this planet? And then which civilizations start populating it? How it happened? And then it goes on and on and on about the main figures that lived in our planet Earth, like Buddha and so many others, and also their mission. We know we all have a mission, but sometimes our mission is a little mission, a tiny little simple mission, and other people they have a much bigger and more important mission. But the important thing is to do well in your mission, even if it's very simple, just to be a good mother. Doesn't matter what it is, just do it well. So today I will have two guests as always, and I have two great people. They have a lot of knowledge, and it will be a pleasure to share the beginning of this study that who knows how many months or years will be. And you will be with us listening live or recorded. It will be great to be here in Kardec Radio every first Thursday of the month to study this book. And in the last 10 minutes, we study another book that we have been doing for a long time. What is Spiritism? This is another important book that Kardec wrote with the spirits, with the help of the spirits. It's not a big book, it's a small book, but very few people know about this book. So Kardec made like a beautiful summary about many important points of spiritism in different ways. And the portions that we are reading right now is the second part. So it's in the way of questions and answers. It's like a dialogue that's interesting. So we will be sharing with you as well. So to start, as I always do, I would like to invite you to have your bottle of water, and we will do a very short prayer to ask spiritual guidance, especially now that we are starting this new project. And it's so important to have help from our guardian angels and the spirits that protect and guide the Kardec Radio and also Mia Inner Light. So let's all close our eyes and elevate our thoughts to God. And let's pray. God, our Mother and Father, at this moment that we are starting another study here in Kardec Radio, we would like to ask the guidance and the protection of the enlightened spirits to help all of us, myself, my dear friends that will be sharing this live program with me, and as well all the brothers and sisters that will be participating live, or the ones that will be listening to this recording, so they can open up their hearts and their minds many times to understand things they never imagined possible. But today, it's a new beginning, and let's start together with the help of the good spirits. So be it. Awesome! Very good. So let's bring my first guest, and it's Brian. Hello, Brian.
Hello, everyone. How are you tonight?
I'm very good. I'm even better because now I have you here with us. This is great. Brian, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you are, which spiritist center is closer to you or you follow, and how you discover Mia Inner Light.
Oh, let's see. Well, I've been a spiritist now for 20 years, starting in New Jersey with Love and Light. I don't have any one particular center. I'm still attached in Florida. I'm still attached to Peace and Knowledge in Orlando, but I've been asked to visit many different centers, including Inner Light and a bunch of other centers. Since I'm based in Sarasota, there's no center there. So I go to Tampa, Orlando, Miami, Fort Myers, lots of places.
I think soon you have to open a center in Sarasota too. So you have to get like some people and say, okay, let's go. Let's open one.
As I
And
see
then you
more
have the
people
others
in this
start
area,
visiting yours.
leave it in the comments if you're in the Sarasota area and you want a center. Yeah, let me know.
Yes, that's a good one. We should really research where are the spiritist people in Sarasota.
Mm-hmm.
Very good, Brian. And how did you discover Me in a Light, this tiny little center?
Oh, I don't think it was Inner Light at the time. I think it was called Inner Enlightenment in New York.
Yeah.
And then we both transplanted from New Jersey for me, New York from you. We both came to sunny Florida, and then we reconnected again through your other group, Grove Adventure Group. And I was like, oh
Yes.
yeah, I have my own center here. So, and there you
Look,
go.
look how nice. We connect spirituality and fun. Growth Adventures is all fun, and Mia in the Light is all spiritual and improvement and moral behavior. We need all that together. I'm so happy that we know ourselves for such a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So let me bring my other guest. Hello, Kiki. How are
Hello.
you doing?
Hello, friends. I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. Thank you for having me here.
Mm-hmm.
Super happy to have you again. This is really,
Thank you,
really
friend.
nice.
Yeah,
The
it's
same
always a
thing,
pleasure.
the same thing I did with Brian. Let us know where you are, how you discover Spiritism, and how you discover Mia Inner Light.
Sure. So I'm now based in Northwest Arkansas. I live in Bentonville, in the city of Walmart. Um, and I know Spiritism in this lifetime. I know Spiritism since I was born, because my family is a Spiritist family. So they are teaching me Spiritism since then, and I'm 41 years old. So I've been studying for this period of time. Um, I don't know how we met. Actually, I was trying to
I
remember
was
that,
just
but I think
thinking about it.
yeah, I think I invited you to come to Bezerra Spiritual Healing Center, which, by the way, is the center that I'm affiliated to. I work with them. I'm a member of the board, and it all started when I moved to California a couple of years ago, and then I met them, Bezerra Spiritual Healing Center in Sacramento, California, and that's how we met. And after the pandemic, it all started to go online, which is amazing, actually, because that's the reason why we are all here together. So I'm so happy. Um, I'm so happy with all of this. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, it's amazing that the pandemic. I always say lots of bad times, lots of bad things happen, but then very good things happen as well. And
Yeah,
of course, people have a tendency to focusing all the bad things, but there were a lot of improvements. Even working from home,
yeah,
didn't have this before the pandemic. The office every day, and now it's like
true.
woohoo! Okay. So a lot of improvements as well. So this is very good. So
It's true.
my friends, these two know a lot of spiritism, and we are going to be talking about this beautiful book. And as I always do, I already spoke a little bit about the book. I will read the preface. So the preface was written by the spiritual guide of Chico Xavier, the Brazilian medium, is Emmanuel, and he is the author of this book. So it's really beautiful and very interesting. So I will quickly read it. Oh, by the way, hello, Juan. How are you doing? Very nice to have you here. Juan also comes to Via Inner Light and loves to study with us. So it's a pleasure having you here. So the prefix. My friends, may God grant you peace. I am pleased with your discussion regarding our work together. Let us hope and pray that the Most High may bless our efforts. As we continue our studies, let us endeavor to present the true stance of the gospel of Christ, which is so often misunderstood in light of the words religions and philosophies. This will not be a historical study. The history of the world has already been compiled and concluded. Instead, we will contribute to the subject of religion by explaining the sacred influence of faith and spiritual evolution down through the course of Earth's civilizations. The book by Brother Humbertus tells about the collective mission of one country in particular. He's talking about Coração, Brasil, Coração do Mundo, Pátria do Evangelho. It's not translated into English, but talks about Brazil and the purpose of the country itself. So he continues, whereas our effort will consist solely of describing the tasks of the world's great missionaries and of the peoples that have disappeared, thereby shedding light on the grandeur and compassion of the Divine Master. Let us look forward to the days to come as we strive to carry out our humble project. May God grant to all of you peace and health, and to us the abilities we need. I especially want to thank you for everyone's help in our overall endeavor. Let us work in the great hive of evolution with no other concern than being good servants of Him who on high knows about all our struggles and tears. Let us trust in Him. From His majestic and merciful heart flows the spring of light and life, harmony and peace to all hearts. May He blesses you. Emmanuel, and this message was received on August 17, 1938. Amazing. 1938. So I remember the first time I read this book, I was so impressed. I was so like, I was like appalled. This book was like opening like windows and doors and imagination and so many things. So, and I was like so amazed that a lot of people never even heard of this book. And I'm like, this is like a gift from God, not just from Emmanuel, to help us to understand a little bit about the earth, all the missionaries who came, and also about the work of Jesus being the governor of our planet. So, saying that, let's jump in. So, let's go to the introduction. So, as I told, as everybody that comes to the channel, they know we don't read everything, but we like to give pinpoints, like in special portions, to help us to understand and summarize. So, let's all talk. Who wants to start?
I
Should always defer to the ladies.
Go ahead. They will
um,
be deciding here.
I can share my thoughts as well, Angie, because just like you, when I first read this book, it was so eye-opening in so many different ways. And one of the things that I like that most, and this is what I think that Emmanuel brings at the preface, is how important it is that we understand the past, not in a sense of just knowing that, but really recognizing and being grateful for everything that was done, even the things that were changed, that had to change, right? So when we look at all the nations and how they all contributed, and all the different religions and faith, and how all of them were important, I think that if we bring that up until now, it helps us also to be respectful about all the others who are also building some level of evolution, right? If we want, in many different phases. So I think it just reinforces the foundational aspect of spiritism, which is to first understand everyone and understand that everybody has your own mission, as you were just saying at the beginning. Be respectful of that and know that Jesus is governing us all. So even if we feel frightened about anything that we see nowadays, and we see there are people fighting for religion, this also helps us to settle down and understand that this is part of our evolution. So that's something that really resonated with me when I read this book for the first time.
Wow, very good. Very good.
I
So,
don't know,
Brian,
Brian, how it felt.
how was it?
For me, this definitely. When I read this book, it's been about 5-10 years ago since I first read this book, and I get like everyone else here, it was a mind opener just reading it, because it was one of those concepts. It's like this is like one of those the good books within the Spiritist massive library that illustrates how religion and science actually go hand in hand together with each other. This is one of the books that, as we get into it, you'll see that how religion may be broadcasting wonderful messages and everything else, and then the science that goes behind it reaffirms it. It's not they're not polar opposites. They just see things slightly differently. I always use the thing like me being a sci-fi buff with Star Trek. We have I was like, I'm sitting here watching Star Trek Next Generation as a kid, and here what things that were science fiction in the series are now science fact today. It's like we have so many things that we thought were just fantasy or reality. Well, take the same thing with what we learned from the spiritual side of life. We may think it's fantasy, supernatural, when really it's just natural. We just didn't understand it at the time. What was magic is physics.
Yeah, it is true. It is true. I always say that I remember, like, I don't know, like 25 years ago, a long time ago, as a famous soap opera in Brazil. It showed the case of a woman who met a guy in the computer, and they were talking the computer, and they were planning to meet. And I remember me watching that. I'm like, my God, people believe in everything. This is never gonna happen. Like,
Yeah.
oh my God, how I could think that? But in that time, no, 25, no, must be like a 20, 28, because 25, I'm married for 25, and I met my husband online.
I'll see that.
So it's almost like everything I have ever said, this is never gonna happen, boom, happened. The same thing with America. I used to say, United States, never. I'm going to Italy. And yes, I dated a few Italians. I lived in Italy. Then when I got married, American. So it's almost like when I want something to say, I will say never. And boom.
But
So
Angie, you know,
we,
one thing, sorry, just wanted to piggyback on what you're saying, because this is also, I think that this is also connected to what we can see in the introduction too, because it is a little bit about ambiguity. Am I saying this correctly? Ambiguity.
ambiguity.
Yeah. I think that the human beings, I mean, our nature kind of does not do really well with ambiguity. And this is all about science and matter, right? This is exactly what Brian was saying. Like science and spiritism, they go hand to hand, just in different perspectives. And it can be seen as ambiguity for us because we are so matter focused, like we are laser focusing on matter. And that's when things start to get a little bit more difficult. But when we read books like this, they kind of help us to see that it's all somehow connected. And even in the introduction, they say that races are replaced with souls, and generations comprises stages of their learning experience and growth. Because that's what it is. It's all learning experience, it's all growth, and we just change a little bit the facet that we are looking at. So I think it's interesting.
Yeah, no, this is great. This is great. That's really, there's so many things that we can talk about. And but as we go, we start seeing more and more, and we can share more and more. Hello, Mary. Nice to have you here with us as well. Very, very good. So, just because of the time, is anything else you guys want to say in the introduction, or can we jump in the chapter one?
Ready to jump in.
Okay. Okay. So let's go. So the chapter one, the title is The Planetary Genesis. And the first item is the community of pure spirits. I really enjoyed this part in the time because that's when I came to understand a little bit more about Jesus. And I was like, wow, this was so powerful. So, okay, what can we start talking about? The this community of pure spirits.
Of which Jesus is but one. So you can imagine you're sitting here. We always think like Jesus is the pinnacle here on earth, but that's our point of view. We can only see so far in from this body, from this like position, and it's like in realizing that Jesus is just one of many that are
Exactly.
just as
Exactly.
powerful and everything else that if you would think of the love and every commitment that he shared to us in his lifetime, and that there are many more that are of the same caliber.
Exactly. And that, in some different religions, people even mix up Jesus as being God. And then when we see that, Jesus never said he was God. He always said the Father, the Father, the Father. But I don't know. People don't understand. Father is Father. And he is one of the many enlightened spirits. And why is Christ? Because they are Christic spirits. So it was so interesting. I was like, wow. Okay, let's go. What else, Kiki? What can we talk about this?
Um, well, so just finalizing the community of pure spirits, I also agree that it's really interesting to think that there is a whole bunch of angels looking after us. And I think that this brings a lot of hope. If we ever think that we are, again, struggling with something, knowing that we feel like our life is out of control, there is a bunch of angels looking at us, and they are definitely looking at our future, not only as individuals but as collective. And this is what the second subchapter is. It says science down through the ages. So it starts telling us how it all started. And actually, even in the first part, the community of these angels, they all got together during important moments of the millennia, and one of them is when everything started. And this is exactly what it is. So it is just telling us that it all started when I will even read, because it's way beyond what I can say. But it says, let me get here. It says that it's when oh my gosh, there was the detachment of the terrestrial orb detached from the solar nebula, and so that the demarcations of our cosmogonic systems and the prototypes of life in the fiery matter of the planet could be set in space and time. So then it starts telling us how it all started working for the progress of the universe, and then how God helped to shape the evolution of the science. So the first thing was to create this kind of chaos based on the detachment from the sun. That's what I understood from this part.
Yes, yes, amazing, amazing. Just to think about that, like when we start understanding that from all those angels, all those great, great spirits, we had Jesus, and then when we listen to lectures from people like Haroldo Dutra Dias, a very famous Brazilian speaker. He is one of them, or Divaldo Franco also. He mentions that the planets that the Jesus incarnated billions of years ago, because he's much older than planet Earth, these planets don't even exist anymore. Just to give us an idea, because the planets, they are born and they die as well.
Mhm.
So just it's mind blowing. It's like really, it's hard to understand it, but it's just for us to have an understanding that we had thousands of lives on earth. Imagine Jesus. That's why the discrepancy. He's just love and light, and we are still babies, like Gugu Dada. So this helps us to understand how different and how much bigger he is. But understanding we are all evolving. So we will one day, I don't know how many billions of years, like Jesus.
Well, that's where like she brought up the first point, the first big meeting. Then there was the second one. The second one was to prepare for Jesus' coming to the earth. And with that grand conclave, as you will, I'm just borrowing from the Catholic Church going through its thing right now, but it's like when you have this group of pure spirits, this community coming together and having to think like, how are we bringing this next level to Earth, bringing the governor, the creator of Earth, down to the planet to show us the path, how we're supposed to grow and everything else. And I was thinking that that's another important message that we shouldn't remember. We should remember is like how many people came together. It's like just like they came together. For me, being in construction, it's usually a big to do when you break ground on something new, a new building, a new road, new whatever. Everyone's there for opening day, and then they're there again for opening day when they cut the ribbon and open something up to use and everything else. Everyone comes together for that event, and that's kind of like what the saying Jesus was saying. It's like when he came down to us, it was the opening day of saying, "This planet is ready now to start its progress to its divine future."
And talking about this, I don't remember where I heard it in one of I don't know for the lecture from Givaldo, I don't remember, but basically Jesus spent 1,000 years at trying to shrink his perispirit. Like he is
Yep.
just light. And now he needs to incarnate in this little planet full of problems. It's so heavy and dense. So he needs to shrink little by little his perispirit to have a human shape again, to come here and try to teach us very complicated spirits about the love, forgiveness, and like, oh my God,
Yeah.
so amazing.
Yeah. And Angy, Mirames also said through João Nunes Maia in an amazing book called Maria, where he also tells the same. So just a spirit as strong and as perfect as Maria could come down to earth to receive Jesus and give him the womb for him to be able to be born. So this is absolutely, I think it's amazing to see how he was the one helping us to build. Helping us is awesome, like helping to build and to shape all the planet Earth, and how from this very first moment when it detached from the sun, where it started to become something, until the point that he was able to come down to earth and all the transformation that had to happen. It's amazing. And again, for me, it all brings even more hope like it all brings, it strengthens the faith in whatever situation we go. It's and this is like, for me, this is one of the most important mindsets whenever reading this book. It's a book for us to strengthen the faith. It's for us to remember and do not forget that we are never alone, and all of this happens with purpose. Everything happens with purpose.
Yeah, yeah, it's beautiful. So Juan has a question. So in the scope of this evening's studies, just the chapter one, beyond. Well, Juan, as you can see, it's 9:35, and we are not even in the half of the chapter. It's the chapters are very short, but what happened is it is so dense, and there's so much that we could continue talking forever just about chapter one. But yes, the idea is to each each time that we come is one full chapter, and if we have time, yes, let's talk about more. But we are not going to have time for more. We can always mix up. That's why it's the beauty is we talk about Jesus and other ideas come as well for you. Whatever you think, your questions, your comments, all of you that are listening to us, I cannot. I don't even know who you are if you don't write. So it's good that to write, make comments, and we can have more participation. So it's always great. So, okay, my friends, let's move on because soon we have to go to our next book. What else can we talk? Now we have divine sculpture. What could we talk about that?
I do love the step that they tell us that it is that the planet Earth was kind of a lab of energies. It was happening so many things at this point, because so it always started with, as they said, the fiery matter, the confluence of telluric forces and physical chemical energies began the grand construction of the theater of life in the gigantic cauldron, where the temperature, and then they get into more details. But what I do like about it is all sorts of experiments to test its quality and potential for building a new school for beings. Imagine how incredible that is. Electrical discharges in amounts never witnessed by humankind awakened strange upheavals within the great planetary organism, whose formation was taking shape in the workshop of the infinite. So another thing that for me stood out was seeing that this was also experimental. There were experiments to test the quality and the potential for what it would become. And this is amazing because imagine doing that type of experiment and what the planet Earth had to go through until it is today, that we are all here breathing without even noticing that. So it's not for us just to take that for granted, but it's truly for us to understand how perfect God is in creating our body with everything that we need, unlimited resources from this beautiful planet.
Yeah, it's like we are so perfect, and everything works so well connected. If something is a little bit bigger or in the wrong place, it wouldn't work. And when we talk about divine sculpture, the first thing come in my mind is not even our physical bodies, that's already very beautiful, but it's nature. Like when we see a mountain, it's so beautiful, it's so perfect. When you see a tiger, I'm like, oh my God, when you see certain bird colors, it's just like, my God, it's so perfect. And I keep joking with my husband. I say, oh, Jesus was very busy hiring the best of the best to plan. Like, okay, now we need fish, now we need birds. Now let's experiment with an animal with a lot of hair, lion. It's just like, yeah, I'm talking about when we think about these experiments, then we really go, the dinosaurs, they were a big experiment. So it's so interesting, so interesting.
And we know that he has a sense of humor because he made the duck-billed platypus. So said one famous comedian. So it's just like that's one that like doesn't fit any mold. We can't categorize that one because it's got a little bit of everything. So, but it again, it shows even, and like it says that how many times do we sit there and say, like, I remember from earth science class back in high school when we learned about all the different cycles, the water cycle, the earth cycle, and then you can throw the circle of life in there. I was like, everything is perfectly balanced, everything is perfectly in tune, and that things always work together. And it's like they go around in a cycle all the time.
No,
And
and there is a lecture of Divaldo that he also explains that like Jesus and all these enlightened spirits that were responsible for Earth and our solar system, explaining that if Earth was a little bit closer to the sun, we would die because it would be too hot. But if it was a little bit further from the sun, we would die because it would be too cold. So certain things that had to be in that way to be perfect. And we're like, wow. So that's when he says that it couldn't be just a coincidence that generated so much perfection. Like even how the planets they orbit around the sun and the moon. There is such an importance to the moon and the earth with the ocean. There's like a lot of science involved, and it's beautiful. It's very beautiful for us to reflect and understand.
for
Super,
those
super.
for those that are following SpaceX and Elon Musk and everything else, and he's like wanting to go to Mars in less than 5 years or start sending things up there. It's like, just imagine what we're talking about today. We have to think about how we're going to do that in small
Yeah.
scale on another planet, Mars. And it's like, if you can think of just how hard it is to think about it. I mean, even for me, I'm sitting here thinking about how are we going to build things on Mars? The water is not as plentiful there, so how do we make concrete or something like
Yeah,
that? We have to rethink everything. And it's
yeah,
like, now don't put that into context with what went into making Earth, us, the lions and tigers and bears, oh my, and all that other stuff. We've got so much out there that it's like it all works beautifully together.
yes, yes. And to all the people that keep telling me, "Oh, forget about it. We are never gonna go to Mars. It's too far away." Never say never. Maybe I should start saying it because then it would happen faster.
Well, like I said with Star Trek, this used to be fantasy. This used to be science fiction. Now it's not.
Exactly, exactly. So we can bring this to everything. And as the enlightened spirits, they always say the morality side of the person is much harder to evolve than the
Very
intellectual.
good.
And then when we see in the few years how fast we evolved in science, like all the technology now,
Yes.
AI. Today I gave a lecture in my job about AI in the legal field, and we saw amazing things, wonderful things, but we saw a lot of problems, a lot of dangers because of the bad users. So now
Hmm.
we have to use our minds to protect the people against the bad things. So it's amazing. It evolves really, really, really quickly. In the past, used to be that American cartoon that I watched when I was a child, the Jacksons. So everything in the Jacksons was futuristic. They even have a cleaning lady who was a robot. And so it's really like, yes, it can happen sooner than we imagine. Sooner than we imagine. Okay, my friends,
And
what else?
another thing,
Go ahead.
another thing that I think it's interesting when we read this first chapter is when it says that. So it's telling the story of how it all was built, right? So it tells since when it was detached, then what happened, and how that all built up where we are today. But in this between, it tells us about the chaos that happened. And
Uh-oh,
of
internet is getting in and out.
Oh no.
Uh-oh. Kiki, if
No, Kiki, you're doing so good.
if you freeze, go out and come back again. Like in the middle of her comments, she's like, but well, while we wait for her to defrost herself, what can we talk, Brian, about the last portion about the words in earth, the word in Earth's creations? What can we talk about this portion?
Well, I want to back up to one thing we kind of glossed over. We've been talking about the Earth. We forgot about the moon. And
Oh,
there's a section that how the moon is relevant. And it says like, no, no, no. We need the moon. It's for our benefit that there is a moon. And it has, and they're saying like, and just sitting here reading about some of the things that it's there for. It's there to help regulate. It's there to calm. It's there. It's like it has a function that we don't even think about. We just see it in the sky and we're like, oh, that's pretty. But how many things have been inspired for us? How many dreams? How much like what could like the sonnets and everything else that have been written and all that these things like and the fact that people will travel at night by the moonlight.
mm-hmm.
There's there's a and it's like the fact that it was thought about and it has significance.
Yes. And also, science mentions also about the moon is able to help with the oceans, to control the oceans, the higher, I don't know how to say, the
The
higher
tides,
tide,
the
yeah,
high tides and low tide, yeah.
low, and if you didn't have a moon would be different. So yes, every, as we said before, everything has a purpose. Sometimes we don't even understand what is the purpose for, but everything has a purpose, and it's so interesting. So let me see here what Mary said. That's so funny you mentioned the Jetsons, and I was talking about them at dinner last night. Yes, like to all the people that have ever watched the cartoon Jetsons, my goodness, it's amazing. Like the Jetsons is so old. I was a child. It's so old, and everything that happened, the escalators, the even the roller things on the floor. I remember when I was a child, thinking, why you're gonna have that? Just so lazy people. No, when you think about this gigantic airport that you have to walk for hours, it really helps. So
Yeah, it has
everything.
those travelators now.
Oh, she's back. Hello. Hello.
I'm so
Oh,
sorry.
better image quality. So good.
Yeah, so we are having some storms around, and I think that that's just causing damage in our internet access. I apologize for that. I'm in my phone now. I hope that that's fine.
No,
I think it's
it's
better.
much better.
Okay.
So what
Um,
were you talking? You were making a comment and then you disconnected.
yeah, so I just wanted to bring an analogy to what we read here, right? That we saw, and I don't know where you stopped listening to me, but one of the things that I was thinking is at some point Jesus rested his hand and it allowed the chaos to settle. And then after that it started to build and to use his chisel to to create sculptures of what the planet is. And if we do an analogy with our life, not only in this lifetime but like our lifetimes and lifetimes, we all have to go through some level of chaos for us to be able to settle and really work on our morals, as you were just saying, Angie. So I always like to think
in however whatever we read, how that can help me to be a better person. That's the exercise that I always do. And when I read something like this kinds of help me to understand that even the most chaotic moments of my life, everything is in harmony. I have to believe that. I must believe in that. That the chaos is part of something bigger that I cannot see. But if I truly trust on that, that will make the burden a little less of what I'm making that, if that makes sense. But what I'm really trying to bring here and or to convey is that again, God created the planet, created the all the atmosphere and everything, absolutely everything that we need for us to live flawlessly without having to think. And now we are here also flawlessly living in a mechanical way of saying, but we are here for us to truly look into ourselves and understand how this chaos that sometimes happens in our life will help to build our new version. So it's just an invitation that I wanted to share because that really got me thinking.
No, it's so beautiful, and we can bring this line of thought to everything in our lives, like
Mhm.
every problem that we go through. Of course, when we are going through the problem, it's so painful, difficult, and a lot of us have a tendency to despair, like why this is happening. Everything happens, but if we are able to be strong, to have faith, and to face difficulties, and of course, if you have a spiritist center, if you can have a passes, you can have a meditation, all this helps us to be stronger. And we also know that when one door closes, two windows open. So we need to be strong for the windows to be able to open. And when they open, the time passes, we go through this. And then when we think about this crazy storm, we laugh like, my goodness,
Yeah.
how did I get crazy about that? I remember when I was a young teenager and a boyfriend broke up with me. What's the end of life? I'm gonna die. Oh my God. And then I remember many years later, I went back to Brazil. And I was like, I don't even remember where I was. And then this guy came to talk to me, and I'm like, who is this? And they're like, wow, you don't remember. Like, he was like very young in the time. I think he was like 30 years old. He had a huge belly. He was sorry, I don't remember who you are. And he said, oh, my name is Victor. And I'm like, did I get crazy? So it's like
Yeah.
funny. We think about our problems in the past, and then we laugh at it. And of
Yeah.
course, not everything, but I'm giving an
Yeah.
example that sometimes we make, like in Brazil, we say, tempestade em copo d'água. We make like a
Yeah. Like a
storm.
s-
One
in
thought.
a glass of water.
Yes, it's like, oh my God. But
Yeah.
yes, yes, we need to be strong, faithful, and understand nothing happens by a chance. So that storm we are going through is something to help us to grow and improve.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it's true. My
Yep.
friends, anything about the last portion of the chapter? Anything that you would like to mention?
Well, I was
The
going to bring up that what Kiki was saying kind of ties into this question we received from Juan here that he just brought up here. Angie, I don't know if you want to bring that one up. That
Oh, okay. Let me see. I didn't even see that. Okay. So Juan said that the evolution of technology is undeniable, but morality and spirituality are way behind, and the regression in regressing in many ways. So, what's the message? Well, let's see what you guys think. I do not agree with that one, but what do you guys want to comment before I come and go crazy?
I'm not fully agreeing with the regression. I know there's some things that there's still some misunderstandings that we haven't got 100% ironed out yet, but we have progressed morally. Like Angie, you were mentioning your AI and legal fields and everything else. I'll throw in Facebook, When it first came out, it was like everybody did everything to it. And later on, we found out that we had the people of cyberbullying and all this other stuff. There was a lot of bad stuff that started coming out to it. It had good intentions, but it ended up being twisted to bad. And now we have this evolution of it that we learn, and we kind of like respect it. We don't put everything out online. We kind of start protecting ourselves. We don't get on it as much and everything else. So we do learn from these things. It may be slow. And that as we were saying before, that the intellectual wing is usually much more evolved. It's stronger, it's faster. But the moral one, we have to work harder and grow it. And yes, it typically it comes in a crisis. COVID was another great example where we now all of a sudden we start taking into account people that are unable to get their groceries, their medicines, and everything else that they were highly reliant on other people to bring them their things, so that we started creating like Instacart and Grubhub and all these things to bring food, bring medicines to these people that were locked up during COVID and couldn't go out because they may get the sickness to the point where they would not recover. And so it was the compassion of the community to come out and help them. But so technically, unfortunately, crises seem to be the big motivator to improve morality. And that's one of the things that at least for me, we have to change and start taking it. Don't wait for crisis. Let's take care of the moral stuff now on a smaller scale. Whether it's just sitting there and saying, don't get mad when someone cuts you off on the road, or it's like if someone doesn't have enough for a cup of coffee, you say, you know what, I can buy this one, pay it forward.
Yeah. And the other thing too is I feel like internet escalated everything, and escalated the good and the bad. And it's just making us more, it's just showing more to us whatever we want to see. So of course that there is a lot of bad things going on, and that, I mean, makes sense from an evolutional perspective, because there we all were created with primitive instincts, right? And some of us still have that primitive instinct so strong that it's hard to detach from that. So that's why the spirits tell us also in the spirits book that the pride and selfishness are the root cause of all the sufferings. And if we look at everything, it's all about pride and selfishness. So people want to show off their lives in the internet, and that causes them, if they are accepted, then there is some level of consequences. If they are not, then there is another level of consequences. So I think that internet escalated that in all of us. But in the other hand, for those who are truly able to use that with good eyes, with good intentions, you just connect closer to people. Like my family, my whole family is in Brazil. And because of the internet, I'm able to be closer to them as I could ever be. So I do think that there is this need for us to perceive more of the things that were highlighted because of the internet and because of those social life. Because as Brian was saying, like now we have to pay more attention to our family. So instead of spending time in the phone, we have to spend time looking at them, which by the way is something that we used to do before the phones. So I think it's just reminding us about things that we just forgot because of how internet enabled us to steer away from our life, from what we have to focus on, which sometimes is really good, sometimes it's not, and when it's not, we tend to go away. So I think it's a good it's a good something for us to think and reflect on how we are dealing with that.
Yes, no, I agree with both of you, but my point of view, Juan, is like, for example, yes, we can see the how technology evolves so super quickly, but it's more or less like what the spirit said. The intellectual part evolves easier, faster. Even we think like no way, but yes, it's much easier. The spirits to develop intelligence than to develop morality. So you mentioned that the morality and spirituality are behind and regressing in many ways. So I do not agree we are regressing. It's more or less like what the spirits tell about the human beings. We do not regress. We do not go backwards. So we are what we are today. We will be in our next reincarnation when the lazy spirits, they do not, have a incarnation that they benefit, they improve, they stay stationary. But the most of us evolve always, even if it's a tiny little bit. And then you're going to think, okay, but what happened to these mass murders? What happened to horrible things that we are seeing? What happened to a possibility of a third world war that is really super ultra possible? We did not regress. We simply did not evolve. So we are not going backwards. Unfortunately, we didn't evolve enough. And as they already mentioned, when we have, like, imagine in the past, I was in Brazil. I couldn't even believe a person could meet other in a computer. Nowadays, something is happening in a little tiny place in Kazakhstan, for example, and in that same minute, we will be online and we will see that happening. So imagine in the past, horrible things that probably happened, we never even heard of. We never even discovered. Imagine how many people were murdered and we never discovered. Nowadays, it's different. Nowadays, there are cameras everywhere on the streets. Even in Brazil, that don't have as many cameras as here, we have a lot of cameras. And then you can end up discovering things that never happened. So what I'm saying is that because of internet, we are able to see things we had never seen before. And another thing to add, that's a very important. Divaldo Franco already mentioned in many of his lectures that the planet Earth is evolving. We are not in the same phase anymore. Now we are going into the regeneration phase. But to be able to fully go into the regeneration phase, we need to do a cleansing of the Earth's basement. And what does it mean? The basement, the umbral, the lower zone. So all those spirits that stayed there for thousands of years and didn't want to reincarnate are being compelled to reincarnate because we need to evolve and those spirits need to evolve. So they are getting their last chance. If they don't evolve, they will be expelled to other planets less evolved than Earth. So this is also really tough because we have very hard spirits coming back to Earth, taking actions that are really like shocking. But so all these things together is just for us to understand that yes, we are evolving, not as fast as intellectually, but we are evolving. So I know sometimes it looks like we are not, but yes, we are. Yes, we are. Believe Believe me, we are. So we have very few minutes, and we have to go to our second book. Let me just see this here, Virgo, saying everything that surrounds the sense of technology and materialism follows a progression limited to a concept of predestination. And then he continues, might not to seize atonement. In that case, morality remains detached from the planet, is divided for several reasons. Unity is an attempt. Confusing, Virgo, to tell you the truth. It's confusing for me to understand. Did you guys understand his comments? I'm kind of like, everything that surrounds the sense of technology and materialism follows a progression limited to a concept of a predestination.
I feel like this. I feel like this is a gentleman that is not as well versed in the codification of Allan Kardec. So this is a new member, someone that's new that hasn't, like, we have our many years with studying Kardec, the books of the codification and all these other books, including this one that we're studying here. So we have that, and this is like a wonderful opportunity. It's like, what about someone that's never seen Spiritism before, and they're saying, well, what about if it's predestination? What if it's just it's fate or something like that, where we're going this
Oh,
thing,
okay.
and
Yes,
then
I couldn't understand his comment. Yeah, if this is the case, Virgo, in Spiritism, we do not believe in predestination. Like we all have a set destiny. No, even when we have a reincarnation planned in the spiritual realm, when we come here, we still have free will, free will, and we can change totally our plan. We can mess up our plan, and so this is life, and that's how we learn. We learn with our wrong choices and our with our good choices, and then one day we will be able to get better choices and evolve faster. And the same thing is happening to the planet. We evolve, the planet evolve as well. My friends, we end up not talking about the last portion. Is anything that you wanted to say from the last one? What is the words in Earth's
It is in
creation?
your attention.
Anything that we can mention. I have to say, I like the last paragraph. So let me read. The first steps were being taken on the road to organized life. With this gelatinous mass, protoplasm appeared, and with it, Jesus placed the sacred prototype of the first human beings on the surface of the world. So it's like us as the first human being, humanoids in that time. And we evolved so much, not just physically, because you can see how we're the first human beings in the past, but we continue evolving physically, but mostly really spiritually. And then when we see people in the world, we see so many differences. And as Juan was mentioning, because we see so much hatred and so many things that are so horrible, and you think, how is that possible? But at the same time, we see so many beautiful things and so many people that get united to help others or to help causes. So we have, and as Emmanuel mentioned in one of his books, I believe it was Emmanuel, you both correct me, please. When he says that the bad people, it was not with these words, okay, but that's the meaning. The bad people, the spirits that are not enlightened, they are brave and loud, but the good people are shy and quiet. So it's more difficult to the love to show, because the good people are really like quiet, and the confused and difficult people are always like spreading and screaming, so they make more noise. But love is there, and we are evolving, and we are all getting better. So the news, what the news do? The news show what sells, and what sells is bad things. Like when people are visiting elderly in a shelter, helping a food pantry of a place, doing little things good. This doesn't sound, people don't really want this. But oh, a bomb exploded here, massive murder went to a school. This is like, wow.
Yeah.
So this is something that unfortunately that's human beings right now. What sells is what a lot of people want to see. The masses are focused on the bad things. So
Yeah.
we are not the masses, we are focused on the good things, and that's why we are here tonight, Thursday night. We are
Yeah.
taking an hour of our lives to study, to discuss, to bring a little bit of our knowledge, and little bit spreading light around.
Angie, if you allow me, you just reminded me of a statement that Emmanuel said in the book Thought in Life, which is an amazing book. He says that, I will try to remember, love is the silent hope of heaven, awaiting the evolution of all principles while respecting the decisions of all consciences.
Wow.
That's
Look at
so
you.
powerful, right? Like,
So
it's the
powerful.
silent hope of heaven, awaiting the evolution of all principles, reminding us that we have those primitive instincts inside of us, and we are and we have to work on evolving all of them. But at the same time, respecting the decisions of all consciences, because we know that all the good relies on us. If we stop and ask ourselves if what we are doing is good, we will know the answer. All it takes is for us to stop and listen to ourselves. So free will, and this is another thing that I think Emmanuel said, the free will that we have is we have free will to love. everything else everything else is going to be a consequence of our choices, and I think that that's beautiful too, right? Like, we do have consequences for everything that we do. um
Yeah.
that's it.
Very beautiful. Really, really, really nice. Friends, we are out of time. I didn't even go to other book because this book is so deep and there's so much to talk, to talk, to talk. As Juan said, yeah, the chapter is so small, but there is so much to talk.
Yeah.
This was really a pleasure. Thank you so much. You both are really great. I feel really happy to have you sharing your knowledge, and it was a blessing. I want to invite you guys to come back.
Honor to learn.
Thank you, thank you. Now I would like to invite you, Brian, to do our final prayer.
All right. Dear Lord, wonderful Master, mentors of all our homes and houses, thank you for bringing us this opportunity to come together to learn, to share, and inspire. Let the words we share today help us, give us that little bit of light, wisdom, and knowledge that we may take this into our hearts, improve ourselves, so we may, in time, get on the path one step closer to that wondrous love, our wonderful goal that brings us to your light and your love always. Amen.
So be it.
Mm.
Very good. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Kiki and
Yeah, of
Brian, for your
course.
time. Thank you, all of you that watched us live and the ones that are going to be watching it recorded. It was a pleasure. So I want to invite you again next month, chapter 2. Let's continue understanding this beautiful book,
It
and there
gets
will
better.
be a pleasure. Will be a pleasure. I will invite you again, and I hope we can continue in other chapters to
Yeah.
study. Thank you, my friends.
Thank you.
Love you. Thank you, everybody. See you all
Thank you
soon.
all.
See
See
you.
you. Bye bye.
Yay.